You're about to learn a silent secret that will transform your presence, your emotional control, and your resilience in ways you never imagined. It's simple but profound, and it's been around for thousands of years. The truth: if you don't master your emotion, they will master you, and when that happens, you lose control of your peace, your focus, and your ability to thrive. But there's a way out of this chaos. Now, imagine walking into any room and instantly commanding the attention of everyone around you, not by speaking louder or trying to impress, but by just being yourself. How is that possible? It's about charisma. And not just the kind of charisma you see on TV or in movies, but the kind that stems from true inner strength, the charisma that is forged in the fire of Stoic principle. By the end of this video, you'll have the 5 Stoic habits that will not only help you build emotional resilience, but also unlock a level of mental toughness and inner peace that makes you unstoppable. Stick around to the end, because I'm going to reveal a technique so powerful, you'll wonder why you never applied it before. Stoic Habit 1. The power of perception. Perception is the lens through which we see the world, and that lens is far more powerful than we often realize. Our perception doesn't just color our experiences, it shapes them entirely. How we see the world determines how we feel, how we act, and even how we grow. The Stoics understood this well, and they saw it as one of the cornerstones of emotional control and resilience. It's not the world around you that dictates your emotions, it's how you choose to perceive it. If you perceive challenges as insurmountable obstacles, you will live in fear and stress. But if you start to view them as opportunities for growth and learning, you unlock a new level of inner peace and resilience. Take a moment to reflect. Think of a time when you felt overwhelmed or stressed, perhaps at work, school, or in a personal situation. You know that feeling of being buried by the weight of expectations, deadlines, and responsibilities. Now, imagine if, instead of succumbing to the anxiety, you saw the situation as a challenge, a chance to grow stronger and more resilient. Imagine approaching the situation not with dread, but with curiosity. What can I learn from this? How can I become better by facing this? This shift in perspective is what Stoicism is all about. The Stoic mindset isn't about denying the existence of challenges or discomforts. It's about recognizing that, while we can't control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to it. The Stoics didn't preach passivity. They advocated for proactive emotional mastery. By seeing life as a series of opportunities for growth, we turn even the most difficult situations into stepping stones toward personal development. Let's explore a practical example. Imagine you're facing an important deadline at work, and the pressure is building. You can feel the stress mounting, the clock ticking down, the weight of the expectations on your shoulders. Now, instead of allowing those feelings of pressure to spiral into panic, stop and reconsider your perception. Instead of saying, "I'm so stressed about this," shift your thought to, "This is an opportunity to focus, do my best, and build my mental resilience." In this shift, you aren't ignoring the stress, you're simply reframing it as a tool for growth. You're choosing to focus on the process, not the outcome. This minor change in perspective can completely change the way you approach challenges. But this isn't just a trick to make you feel better temporarily. It's a practical tool for transforming the way you live your life. Every stressful situation, every difficult challenge, becomes an opportunity to practice patience, focus, and resilience. And this, over time, builds a stronger, more emotionally resilient version of yourself. The stress doesn't disappear, but your relationship with it changes. You no longer feel like a victim to the circumstances around you. Instead, you become empowered to respond with calm and clarity. The power of perception lies in your ability to choose how to see the world around you. The Stoics were keenly aware that while we cannot control what happens to us, we have full control over how we perceive it. And this control is where true power lies. When you start practicing this, you will notice how your stress, frustration, and negative emotions slowly diminish, making room for peace, resilience, and a greater capacity for joy. Let me share a real-world example from the life of Nelson Mandela, one of the most revered leaders of the 20th century. After spending 27 years in prison, Mandela had the choice to perceive his time behind bars as a punishment that would break him, or as a transformative experience that would fortify his resolve. He chose the latter. Mandela shifted his perception of imprisonment, not as a fate, but as an opportunity to deepen his inner strength and focus on the larger cause. By the time he was released, he had transformed his life, and the lives of millions of people, by seeing adversity as a chance to grow and lead. Mandela's choice is a perfect example of how our perception shapes our reality. He wasn't immune to the hardships he faced, but his ability to reinterpret those challenges led him to become a beacon of hope, resilience, and transformative leadership. And that's the kind of emotional control and mental resilience we're talking about, the ability to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. The Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, practiced this mindset daily. In his personal writings, he often reminded himself that everything that happens, good or bad, could be used as an opportunity to practice virtue, wisdom, or patience. This is a powerful example of perception, recognizing that every situation, no matter how difficult, can be seen through a lens of personal growth. This habit, then, isn't just about reframing challenges. It's about freeing yourself from the unnecessary emotional baggage that comes with negative perceptions. It's about seeing the world as it truly is, without distortion. And when you do that, you break free from the grip that stress and negativity have on you. You begin to experience life with more clarity, more peace, and more purpose. Your resilience becomes unshakable, and your emotional control becomes second nature. And that's what makes Stoic perception so powerful. It's not about changing reality, but changing your relationship with reality. By practicing this Stoic habit, you're not just changing the way you see the world, you're changing the way you live your life. Now, let's consider how this perception connects to discipline. Perception influences how we act, but it's discipline that makes those actions consistent and intentional. Discipline is the bridge that turns perception into reality. Let's explore how discipline can shape our actions in the next Stoic habit. Stoic habit 2, the discipline of action. The discipline of action is the essential bridge between perception and results. Perception shapes the way we see the world and our place in it. It sets the stage for what we believe is possible. But without action, perception is just a thought, an idea that never materializes. The Stoics were acutely aware of this fact, emphasizing that true personal growth occurs only when the power of perception is followed by the discipline to act. Without action, the best ideas are simply dreams that will never come true. This is why the discipline of action is vital in building mental resilience and emotional control. Think about it. How often have you had a brilliant idea or an inspiring moment of clarity, only to let it slip away because you didn't take action? Maybe you knew you should start a new habit, whether it was exercising, meditating, or even working on your personal growth, but hesitation held you back. Perhaps it was fear of failure, fear of not being good enough, or fear of the unknown. That hesitation, that lack of action, often leads to regret. And regret, as the Stoics knew, is a poison that damages your emotional and mental well-being. It creates the internal turmoil that drains your energy and leaves you feeling stuck. The Stoics, however, had a radical approach to action. They didn't see action as something that was just about achievement or success. They saw it as an essential part of their character. Every action, no matter how small, was a step toward their personal development. It wasn't about getting everything right the first time, it was about consistently doing what you could, no matter the outcome. The Stoics understood that discipline in action isn't about perfection, it's about the commitment to act regardless of external circumstances. Consider this. Think about a time when you delayed taking action because you were uncertain about the outcome. Perhaps you've been putting off a difficult conversation, or maybe you've delayed starting a project because you were unsure of your abilities. More often than not, this inaction only leads to frustration, missed opportunities, and ultimately regret. Inaction does not protect us from failure. It keeps us stuck in a cycle of indecision and self-doubt. This is where the Stoic philosophy shines. Stoicism teaches that we are not the sum of our thoughts or our perceptions alone, but the sum of our actions. It's easy to believe that you can think your way to success or emotional mastery, but without action, your thoughts are just empty theories. To improve your emotional intelligence or build mental toughness, you need to put those concepts into practice. Knowledge without action is useless. You can read all the self-help books in the world, but it won't make a difference unless you take consistent, disciplined action based on that knowledge. Let's take a practical example. Let's say your goal is to improve your mindfulness and emotional control. You might have the perception that mindfulness is a great tool for reducing stress, but unless you actively commit to practicing it every day, your perception will never translate into results. The Stoics didn't wait for the perfect moment to act, they just acted. The discipline of action means committing to practices like mindfulness daily, even when it's not easy or when your mood doesn't align with your intentions. When you practice consistently, even in the face of difficulty, you build emotional resilience. The Stoic mindset is rooted in taking responsibility for your actions. You control your responses, decisions, and efforts. It's not about waiting for the world to align with your goals or for everything to feel perfect. It's about taking the first step, then the next, and the next, no matter what. In fact, every small, disciplined action is like a building block that strengthens your emotional state. The more you act with intention and discipline, the stronger you become. Take Thomas Edison as an example. Edison is often remembered for inventing the light bulb, but he is equally known for his relentless approach to action. He didn't stop after his first failure, his second, or even his 100th. Instead, Edison saw each failure as a necessary step toward success. He didn't let his perception of failure stop him. He disciplined himself to keep trying. His perseverance and action led him to breakthroughs that changed the world. His story is a powerful example of how consistent, disciplined action transforms perception into results. But the discipline of action isn't just about doing things for the sake of doing them. It's about aligning your actions with your highest values and purpose. This is where emotional control and mental resilience are built. The Stoics believed that through disciplined action, we could overcome our internal resistance and make our intentions reality. When we act with purpose and consistency, we are not only moving toward our goals, but we are also shaping our character, strengthening our mental resilience, and gaining emotional control. Now, you might be wondering, how does this relate to listening? At first glance, listening may seem like a passive action, but in Stoic philosophy, listening is an active, intentional practice, one that requires focus, presence, and discipline. Listening deeply, whether to others or to ourselves, can be a powerful tool for growth and emotional control. And it's not just about hearing words, it's about understanding and responding thoughtfully. So, let's explore how listening, often overlooked, is an incredibly powerful Stoic habit that connects directly with the discipline of action. Stoic Habit 3. The Art of Listening. Listening is far more than simply hearing words. It is about truly understanding the deeper meaning behind what's being said. The Stoics understood this concept better than most. They recognized that one of the most powerful actions you can take is to listen, not just to others, but also to yourself. True listening requires full presence and attention, a deep level of awareness that connects directly to emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence, in turn, is closely tied to your ability to control your emotions and build mental resilience. If you can't listen deeply to yourself or others, your emotional responses will be dictated by external forces, rather than being guided by your inner strength. Think about how often you've had a conversation where you didn't fully listen. We all have times when we hear the words, but we don't really absorb the meaning. Maybe we're more focused on forming our response or thinking about our next point. At other times, we let our emotions take over, reacting without considering the other person's perspective. This is where misunderstandings happen, and this lack of true listening leads to miscommunication and unnecessary stress. In today's fast-paced world, this is more common than ever, but it is also one of the main barriers to developing emotional control and resilience. The Stoics, however, taught that wisdom doesn't come from speaking, it comes from listening. They emphasized that by listening attentively, not just to what is said, but to the underlying emotions and thoughts behind the words, we can deepen our understanding of others and ourselves. By practicing this kind of listening, you gain the ability to respond thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively. This shift in how you interact with others builds stronger relationships and improves your emotional control. You no longer feel swept up in the heat of the moment. Instead, you approach difficult conversations with clarity and composure, which is at the heart of emotional resilience. Imagine you're in a heated conversation with a friend or colleague. There's tension in the air, and the urge to defend yourself is strong. Instead of jumping in with your own thoughts or solutions, take a step back and simply listen. Focus on their words, not just the content, but the emotion and underlying concerns behind what they're saying. What are they really trying to communicate? How do they feel? By doing this, you'll find that you can respond with more clarity and empathy, which strengthens your connection with them. This level of listening not only makes you more attractive in a social or professional setting, but it also enhances your ability to remain calm under pressure. This is also where listening to yourself becomes crucial. The Stoics were firm believers in the power of self-reflection, the practice of listening to your own inner dialogue. Have you ever found yourself spiraling into negative thoughts, or reacting to a situation in a way that later didn't seem aligned with your true self? By listening to your thoughts, you can begin to identify the patterns that govern your emotions. Are these thoughts helpful, or do they limit you? Do they encourage growth, or do they hold you back? The more you practice self-listening, the better you understand yourself, your triggers, and how to respond more effectively. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, who often used self-reflection to guide his actions. He would journal his thoughts each day, carefully listening to his inner dialogue and challenging any beliefs that weren't aligned with his Stoic principles. By understanding his own thoughts, he could make more intentional decisions in his leadership and personal life. The act of listening to oneself is incredibly powerful because it allows you to take proactive control of your emotions and actions. By practicing self-listening, you create a space between stimulus and response, which is the essence of emotional mastery. This practice of listening, both to others and to ourselves, plays a significant role in building mental resilience. When you listen without judgment, you free yourself from reacting impulsively, which allows you to think clearly and respond with wisdom. And when you listen to yourself, you develop the emotional intelligence to navigate the complexities of your inner world. This ability to hear both internal and external voices, without allowing them to control your actions, gives you the emotional freedom to choose your responses with clarity and purpose. In addition, listening is an act of virtue in itself. It requires patience, humility, and self-control. The Stoics believed that virtue is the highest good, and listening attentively is an expression of those virtues. By choosing to listen deeply, you demonstrate respect for the person speaking and self-discipline in how you respond. This reflects the Stoic virtues of justice, temperance, and wisdom, all of which contribute to your ability to remain composed, clear-headed, and compassionate. So, how does listening tie into the practice of virtue? Simply put, by listening, you practice virtue in action. Listening attentively is a form of respect, both for others and for yourself. It demonstrates that you are willing to be present and to understand before responding. It requires humility, as you acknowledge that there may be something you can learn from others, even when it feels difficult or uncomfortable. In this way, listening is not only a key practice for emotional resilience and control, but it also enhances your charisma. When you actively listen to others, you build deeper relationships, earn trust, and create an atmosphere of respect and understanding. This, in turn, increases your capacity to lead and influence, while also fortifying your inner peace. Now, as we move forward, let's look at how these practices of listening and virtue come together to build not just emotional resilience, but an unshakable character that can face any challenge with grace. Virtue isn't just a concept, it's a practice that aligns with everything you do. The next Stoic habit, the practice of virtue, is the logical continuation of our work with listening. By living virtuously, you'll find that your capacity for emotional control and resilience naturally grows. So let's explore that next. Stoic Habit 4. The practice of virtue. Virtue is not just a part of Stoicism, it is its very core. For the Stoics, living a virtuous life was not merely a philosophical idea, it was a practical, everyday pursuit that led to a life of inner peace and emotional mastery. But it also had an undeniable impact on how others saw you. Virtue, the Stoics believed, was a key driver of charisma and resilience. It's the foundation that underpins every other Stoic habit. Without virtue, even the best strategies for emotional control or mental resilience are just empty words. Virtue shapes who you are, how you act, and how you respond to life's inevitable challenges. So, what does it actually mean to practice virtue? At its core, virtue means consistently choosing the higher path, the one that embodies wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance in every area of your life. It's about making decisions that align with your deepest values, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. The Stoics didn't believe in virtue as a fleeting state, but as an ongoing commitment to living in accordance with your best self, choosing what is right, not what is easy. In today's world, it's all too easy to get distracted by external markers of success, money, status, power. We are often led to believe that these things are the ultimate indicators of success. But the Stoics recognized that these external things are temporary and ever-changing. True success, for them, lay in the strength of your character, in your ability to remain steadfast in your values, no matter the external circumstances. This is what makes a person truly great, according to Stoicism. It's not how much money you have or how many titles you hold, but the integrity with which you live your life. Think about someone you deeply admire, someone who has earned your respect over time. Chances are, that person has earned your admiration not because of their wealth or status, but because of their integrity. It's their ability to make wise decisions, act with courage, and do what is right, even when it's hard, that makes them stand out. These are the traits of virtue. Virtue is not flashy or dramatic, it's quiet and consistent. It's the strength to do what's right, even when it costs you. And over time, these small, consistent acts of virtue build a powerful sense of self-respect and inner peace. Now, turn that lens inward. How do you practice virtue in your own life? Maybe you act with kindness even when it's difficult, or you make the choice to speak the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Every time you choose to live according to your values, no matter the external pressures, you are strengthening your emotional resilience and building your mental toughness. These acts may seem small, but over time, they add up. Every act of virtue is a building block for a stronger, more resilient character. And the result, virtue naturally makes you more charismatic. People are drawn to those who lead by example, those who are steady and grounded even in the midst of adversity. It's the person who acts with integrity in small things who earns respect and admiration from others. You become magnetic, not because you seek attention, but because you are true to yourself. Virtue, in this sense, works like a magnetic force. It draws people to you, not through power or dominance, but through your steadfast commitment to what is right. But the benefits of virtue aren't confined to your interactions with others. They also strengthen your inner peace. When you live virtuously, you align your actions with your highest values. This creates harmony within your mind and heart, and in this harmony, you build resilience to external pressures. Life can be chaotic and unpredictable, but when your inner world is rooted in virtue, you become less affected by the fluctuations of the world around you. When you choose wisdom over impulsiveness, you prevent rash decisions that could lead to regret. When you choose courage over fear, you push through the discomforts of life rather than letting them hold you back. When you choose justice over selfishness, you act in a way that benefits not only yourself, but the community around you. And when you choose temperance over excess, you find peace in moderation, avoiding the emotional volatility that comes from overindulgence. These choices build an internal fortress, one that is impenetrable by stress, negativity, or external chaos. Let's think of an example that beautifully illustrates this principle. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors of all time, is known not just for his wealth, but for his consistent commitment to values like honesty and integrity. Despite his financial success, he has famously avoided the flashy lifestyle that many other billionaires embrace. Why? Because his commitment to virtue has created an unshakable foundation for both his business and his personal life. He has consistently chosen wisdom in his investment decisions, courage in his actions, and temperance in his lifestyle. As a result, he has not only become a financial powerhouse, but a model of ethical leadership. This internal stability, this foundation of virtue, also allows you to weather the storms of life with grace. When you choose wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you no longer react to the world around you in a way that drains your energy or creates emotional turmoil. Instead, you act with calm, clarity, and purpose. Now that you see how powerful virtue is, let's consider how it ties into self-awareness. When you practice virtue, you are aligning your actions with your deepest values. This naturally leads to a greater understanding of yourself, of your motivations, and your responses to the world. How does this deepened self-awareness enhance your charisma and emotional resilience? Let's dive into that next. Stoic Habit 5. The power of self-awareness. Self-awareness is the key that unlocks the door to profound personal growth. It is the practice of deeply understanding your own thoughts, emotions, motivations, and actions. By becoming self-aware, you gain the ability to observe your internal state rather than reacting blindly to it. This habit is essential for emotional control because it allows you to step back from automatic responses and instead choose how you react to the external world. In doing so, you create the space needed for greater emotional mastery and mental resilience. Think about it. How often do you find yourself reacting without thinking? Whether it's getting defensive when criticized, feeling anxious in a social situation, or becoming angry in traffic, these automatic reactions can dictate the quality of your day, your relationships, and your overall emotional state. Self-awareness gives you the power to notice these reactions as they happen. Instead of being a slave to your emotions, you realize that you have the ability to shape them through conscious reflection and action. This is the foundation of emotional control, the ability to recognize an emotion as it arises and choose a measured response rather than being swept away by it. For example, imagine you're in a meeting at work and a colleague challenges your ideas. The immediate reaction might be to feel defensive or even angry, but with self-awareness, you pause and reflect before you respond. You ask yourself, why do I feel so defensive? Is it because I feel insecure about my ideas? Am I worried about being judged? By becoming aware of the root cause of your emotions, you give yourself the power to act thoughtfully, rather than react impulsively. This small moment of reflection can change the course of your conversation and, more importantly, your emotional state. You may respond calmly, with more confidence, and without the weight of unnecessary emotional baggage. This practice of reflection and self-awareness is crucial for personal growth and emotional resilience. It helps you uncover patterns in your behavior that you may not have even noticed before. When you are truly self-aware, you begin to understand why you react the way you do, and this understanding provides the clarity needed to make positive changes. For example, you may realize that you tend to feel anxious in social situations because you're overly concerned with how others perceive you. With this awareness, you can begin to challenge that belief and start practicing behaviors that allow you to feel more at ease in those situations. The Stoics were firm believers in the power of reflection. Every morning and evening, they practiced reflection, taking time to assess their thoughts, feelings, and actions. This practice allowed them to understand where they had acted in alignment with their Stoic values and where they had fallen short. Self-reflection is like having a personal mentor inside your mind, guiding you to be better, to grow, and to constantly improve. Through reflection, you can see your strengths and weaknesses clearly, which provides the opportunity to adjust and make more deliberate choices going forward. Let's think about how this works in a real-world situation. Imagine you've had a difficult conversation with a colleague at work. Maybe it was heated, and you felt frustrated, even angry. Your initial impulse is to react, perhaps snap back at them or walk away. But instead, you practice self-awareness. You take a deep breath, pause, and reflect. What's really behind this anger? Are you frustrated because you're afraid of being misunderstood? Are you projecting insecurities about your work or abilities? This self-awareness allows you to understand that your anger is less about the situation and more about your own fears and insecurities. With this insight, you gain the power to choose a response that is more constructive. You might calmly express how you feel, or even choose to let it go entirely, knowing that your emotional reaction isn't serving you. The connection between self-awareness and the other Stoic habits is crystal clear. It's through self-awareness that you can truly master perception. With awareness, you can change how you perceive challenges and stressors, choosing to see them as opportunities for growth rather than threats. Self-awareness also allows you to practice disciplined action, as you understand what habits and responses will bring you closer to your values and goals. By listening to yourself, your inner dialogue, you gain the clarity needed to act virtuously. You begin to act with more wisdom, patience, and self-control, as your self-awareness strengthens your emotional resilience. When you practice self-awareness, all the Stoic habits come together. By reflecting on your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you build a life rooted in clarity, purpose, and inner peace. The more you practice self-awareness, the more you align your responses with your highest values, creating a natural harmony within yourself. This harmony is what makes you irresistibly attractive, not because you are seeking validation from others, but because you have peace within yourself. So, how do you integrate self-awareness into your daily life? The key is to start small. Don't expect to become self-aware overnight. It's a skill that requires practice. Begin with daily reflection. Each morning, set your intentions for the day. What values will guide you? At night, reflect on the choices you made and how they aligned with your intentions. Where did you act in line with your values? Where did you falter? This process of daily reflection will gradually deepen your self-awareness and allow you to make better choices that lead to greater emotional mastery and personal growth. Over time, as you integrate these Stoic habits into your life, perception, discipline, listening, virtue, and self-awareness, you'll notice a profound transformation. You'll become more resilient in the face of challenges, more emotionally intelligent in your interactions, and more charismatic in your presence. The more you practice, the more your life will reflect the inner peace and strength that Stoicism promises. We've covered a lot today: how perception, discipline, listening, virtue, and self-awareness are the cornerstones of building a powerful, resilient mindset. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Every day, you have the chance to practice these Stoic habits and move closer to mastering your emotion, building mental resilience, and becoming irresistibly charismatic. Here's the thing: applying these Stoic principles isn't just about becoming more attractive to others, it's about becoming more aligned with your true self. When you live with clarity and control, your presence naturally attracts others. So, now it's your turn. Which habit are you going to start with today? How can you apply these Stoic principles in your own life? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear how these habits are transforming your daily life. And before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's keep growing together and build the resilience that makes us unstoppable.